officially an astronaut when you pass the 50-mile altitude point. And Hank Hartsfield was the only veteran on the crew. He was the commander. And he was counting down in the cockpit on the tapes. He was watching his tapes of the altitude. And he's counting down, 47 miles, 48 miles, 49 miles, 50 miles. And at that point, officially we're astronauts, and you hear that on the intercom, everybody cheers, because now I get to put on a gold astronaut again. We just passed 50 miles altitude. So there was cheers erupting, and then the next time you heard the cheers was at MECO when the engine stopped. And you get pushed into your seat at 3 Gs, and again the velocity tape is racing up. You're watching it, go to nearly 18,000 miles an hour, 17,500 or so, and the motor stopped. You're instantly weightless, and you hear another cheer on the intercom because now you're in orbit.
What did you feel like at that point?
Again, it was an overwhelming sense of this lifetime dream happening. I mean, it was hard to believe it. It happened so fast. From liftoff to being in orbit was only 8.5 minutes, or about 10 after the Ohmsberg, but it was still, it happened so fast, and it happened. I mean, this is real. I'm up here. It was up until that point, it was all theoretical. You kept thinking there's so many things that can, my health can go bad, or the program can be canceled for some reason, or that you're paranoid about it. And now it happened, and it is this incredible release, this incredible joy that now you're in space, looking down on the Earth, and this lifetime dream has happened. It is amazing.
And then you had to focus on the mission, which is pretty complicated.
Right. Yeah. I'll tell you the first thing, though, I was a mission specialist sitting behind Mike Coates, the co-pilot position. We call him pilot, commander and pilot. But anyway, I'm sitting behind Mike Coates, and because of the angle that you're at and how far back you sit, I hadn't seen the Earth yet. I mean, you were riding this thing, you're seeing black sky straight up, and it's only late in the injection, the vehicle is kind of horizontal and is picking up all that speed. And even then, I'm sitting so far back, my nose is high enough, I can't see the Earth. So it was only after I unstrapped and floated up a little bit that I was able to see the Earth. And that was...
What was it like the first time you saw the Earth?
It was like... I mean, I had this sense that I'd seen so many photos of the Earth that from space, that it wouldn't be that surprising, but it was. Your eye is so much better than any camera. I mean, it was just, the comparison there is, I remember I had seen zillions of photos of the Grand Canyon, but I'd never been there. And the first time I got there, I said, well, this doesn't look like the photos at all. I mean, it was massive. It was much more dramatic. And that's the same thing with looking out the window from a
My boss is looking at her watch, so I think we...
You know what? It's so crowded here.
Yeah.
We need to
Yep.
go.
Okay.
It's not looking good.
Okay. All right.
Sorry.
Okay.
Oh, absolutely. Enterprise is
worked on it, had the chance to fly on it. Now that will hopefully
really wondering if you were on a launch pad. You're just going someplace really fast. Hello.
I'm Britt. Nice to
Hi,
meet you.
nice to meet you too.
I'm going to be writing this part for our education page.
Okay.
And especially for young women out there who are interested in STEM education, what kind of encouragement can you give them about futures in science, technology, engineering?
Yeah. Well, you know, I mean, I think when you look at something like this, you know, like at this vehicle, even if you look at just the 747 that it's sitting on, you know, it makes you realize that there's really wonderful things you can do when we challenge ourselves. And I think the thing that's so cool about studying something like science, technology, engineering, math, those STEM things, is that there are so many opportunities that open up for you from doing that. And you know, I studied as an engineer, but I don't think I ever, except for maybe a year and a half out of school, did what I would consider to be, you know, hardcore engineering stuff. But what having that degree did for me was it opened up all kinds of other opportunities to work on cool programs like the Space Shuttle and the space station, and then ultimately work as an astronaut flying in space too.
And how old were you when you saw your first shuttle launch?
Oh my gosh, when I saw my first shuttle launch, let's see, I was 16 in Clearwater.
What does this mean for you to be out here today? You were the last crew, and this is the first one to go. What's your emotion?
You know, there's a sense of pride for sure, and I think pride across, you know, for the people across the program.
Good, I get you stuff.
But you know, I'm sad about it too. I'm sad to see Discovery go, and you know that Endeavour and Atlantis will be following soon. And I think it's a long time before we're going to see a vehicle as beautiful and winged and as magnificent as the space shuttles have been.
Thank you.
What does it mean to have a spacecraft that you flew in go into the Smithsonian, into what a lot of people consider the premier collection for the nation?
Well, you know, I think it's a really impressive thing. I think it demonstrates the fact that the Smithsonian would be opening its doors for discovery is that, you know, it speaks to the fact that it is a magnificent vehicle. It's something they want to have as part of their collection and to share with millions of people, like Steve said. I think that's an impressive thing.
Has it sunk in yet? Has the reality of this sunk in? Was it on land? Under landing? Does it feel over?
You know, I think there's little, you know, it becomes more and more real. I think this is definitely, you know, one of those steps that is going to make it seem more real. I think it's still going to be a while though before it really sinks in. You know, I'm hoping that you know, these new programs we have coming on will work and come up to speed in an efficient way, and you know, we'll be launching new vehicles soon, and that, you know, that we can be thinking about Discovery and the other space shuttles as the wonderful you know, tools for exploration that they were, and how they set the stage for what we're able to do now.
Well, lots of school kids tour the Smithsonian, and when they start touring Discovery, walking around it, what do you hope they take away from seeing this vehicle?
Well, I hope they look at it, you know, I mean, you look at it and you can't help but be impressed, I don't think. I hope they're impressed by it, and I hope that they look at it like, you know, as kind of a challenge, because I think when we challenge ourselves, wonderful things happen and new opportunities open up. And, you know, we have that beautiful space station that's orbiting us every 90 minutes, and, you know, it's a testament to the kind of things we can do when we challenge ourselves.
Are you going to go up for the DC arrival for the 19th, or?
No, we're not.
Okay.
We're not. My hope is that, you know, fairly soon, once they get stuff set up there, I'd love to take my family up there and, you know, share it that way.
So in that sense, do you think it'll be a little bit odd to be behind the stanchions, or do you think the Smithsonian might give you a special pass to get behind?
You know, actually, I think it'd be kind of cool to be behind the stanchions and see it, you know, be able to feel it that way as well, and see, you know, have that same experience that other people are going to have, and, you know, maybe pass on a hint or two if there's something they should be doing that they're not.
Great.
Nice to see you.
Good to see you.
Yeah. Yes. All right. Oh, yes, I did. Yeah.
probably the camouflage is most likely about Russian skills. Thank you. She's great. And oh yeah, we were so proud that the Ukrainian ladies are part of this. Oh yes, sir. I just want to ask you. This moment, it means the end of the old era, and at the same time, it's the beginning of the new era. New projects, new trainings, new skills. What does it mean personally for you, and how are you preparing for this moment?
Well, for us, we've been preparing for this transition really for about 5-6 years, because we all knew that the shuttle program was going to come to an end. 135 touchdown last summer. We were well into the transition to operate space station only configuration. Personally for us, really, for me, I have to learn my Russian better. Kind of get back into studying my Russian to improve naturally. Some other additional skills and training as we transition to a space station only configuration. But it's exciting too. The focus of the space station on research and science is really exciting. It'll pay dividends for a couple more decades, I hope.
Do you dream about the moment when the United States will be able just to send their own spacecraft?
Oh, absolutely. It'd be really nice to be able to launch from U.S. soil again. Getting to space, regardless of how you get there, is always exciting. It's just having launched from here and landed here. And, it's so close to home. I think that's really what we're looking at, is the sense of being able to be home. Going to Kazakhstan for a while. It's a long trip. Because nothing else is going to change, which we'll still have the language requirements, we'll still have the training requirements, which just means that we want to be able to here. So regardless of where we launch from, my Russian definitely is super.
It was my question. There was a lot of concerns that the American astronauts will feel like a guest, like a person who are buying the ticket to the space. Is it?
Oh, I hope not. I don't think so. I think because the training is 2.5 years, 2.5 years, and you're with your crew, intermittently from the beginning of that. It's a crew, and it's one ship, one crew up there, and you might as well get used to it. And I don't think anybody feels like a guest. What the problem is the travel involved in that training. It would be reduced, but it wouldn't be changed dramatically, I don't think, if we were even launching from here. So the overall effects from that part of it is not going to be tremendous, but it would just be a big benefit to be able to launch.
Last short question. Speaking about the language skills, what was the first sentences which you learned? Was it the technical one or just for communication?
That's about all that's the first thing. I do not know. That's actually the first thing I learned.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Thank you, sir.
Hey,
I'll bring it back to you, Russ.
We didn't know it. So it's profoundly significant because it's teaching us about how the fluid in the brain, the cerebral spinal fluid, circulates. And we didn't really understand that as well as we thought we did. And it's one of those things where when you get away from gravity as such a dominant force, you find things that you just didn't see, that you were missing this time. So that, I think, is one of the biggest physiologic things we've found. And it's got big medical implications to us because we don't know what the long-term effects are. And we're flying 6 months on station now. Are we ready to sign people off to go to Mars and spend maybe a year in weightlessness, getting there, and maybe a year on the way back? And the answer is, well, we're not. We need to understand this a lot better.
A small sample pool from people that I've talked to is to understanding exactly what happens.
It's not that small. Unfortunately, it's nearly 50% of the guys who go up there. They get affected to some degree.
Do you think there's a chance that with a lot of the long duration flights being around 5 and 6 months with Soyuz and space station crew, do you think there's any chance that the cutoff is around that time where the changes stop and stabilize? Or do you think it might continue onward the longer that you're in 0G?
Right, and those are exactly the questions we're trying to answer right now. So actually, since my flight in 2009, we now do mandatory monitoring on orbit. So we're trying to get the kind of the serial effect of this. We're doing the retinal imagery, we're doing the ultrasound, we're doing visual acuity tests, we're doing them periodically to try to figure out what the timeline of this beast really is. It seems to be stable, and we have been able to refly some people who've had it, but again, just those long-term implications we just plain don't understand. So we don't know exactly why it happens, but people are not functionally impaired. And we have to wear corrective lenses because we definitely get a vision shift, but we don't have the kind of symptoms that we tend to see in clinical syndromes on the ground. That's why we missed it all this time. You know, guys went up there and came down with a little bit of a shift, and we thought, it's because we're old. We're having these far-sighted shifts that happen with aging. But other than that, people are not impaired at all.
It's funny, yesterday when we went up there, and I got on the gantry on that side over there, and I'm standing over the payload there, and I go, gee, last time I was in this position, I was 240 miles straight up, and those doors were open.
You were looking straight down.
I was looking straight down.
I appreciate you doing that.
Are you guys going up to DC?
They spin on it.
Oh, they spin.
Yeah, but they don't.
I'm sure if I pull hard enough.
That is really realistic.
You know what we were talking about yesterday also when we looked at it, is the camber of the wing. This right here is very dramatic on the real vehicle. They never bothered to put a big camber in here.
I was going to give you a quick tip. Pop up your pop up and then shoot them again.
No, not really. I guess they have the formal reception on the 19th, and we all have to get back to work, so they're gonna.
Oh yeah.
We leave here tomorrow morning and go right back to work. I think I'm gonna end up in DC early May. I hope to get a chance to swing by and see it.
Thank you for being patient.
Oh, no problem.
Bring
So,
out 580 or something.
Good idea.
eventually, I'm sure. That's one of my favorite museums that has been.
Between the T-38s
I don't know. I guess it wasn't open when it was little kid.
What are you thinking about?
I think it's going the wrong way. Should we going out to the pad out there? I mean, seriously, it looks fantastic. It looked fantastic when we landed too. You know, I think we tried to capture as much as we could when we landed because it was in great shape and looked like it was ready to fly again. And to see it heading off to a museum, you know, it has to go to a museum at some point. You know, it's just kind of wish you were still flying, but it's an incredible vehicle. It really is.
Thanks.
No. I don't have a helmet to put on my head and shut the thing so I can try to look at you.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
Scotty, you looking up there?
Especially on the 126 video, we put that. There's no images of me getting suited up with my helmet up. So our video, they show everybody getting suited up, and all they show is me sitting there with my visor down. But yeah.
Sorry.
Just wanted to say thank you for your time and thank you for being patient.
Oh, no problem. No problem at all. Thanks for coming out.
Once you get over the shock, realizing that it's going away from the last time, you can't not look at it and say, wow, that combination.
Are you?
will work.
Wonderful. That's going to be great.
And then I finally get JFK in New York, but nobody's answering my info yet. Got to be persistent.
I talked to Jeff Goldrick, who's flying this mission here. It's just amazing. Guys, pilots we get to work with that fly, 747, WB, T-38s. Those guys are fantastic. They don't get enough attention. What's it feel like? It is
That's I find so funny.
Every single time.
Can't avoid it.
Yes, and that's actually one of the best things that we have at the astronaut corps is by having all these different backgrounds. It's one of the things, one, it's very enjoyable to talk to people with very different backgrounds, but two, it gives you a fresh look at something because a lot of times a different group, they go, hey, and it worked for them, it's a great way to bring things in. So to me, it's one of the big strengths of the astronaut corps is having people from a lot of different backgrounds because someone will sit there and say, hey, I remember doing it this way, and you go, that's genius. That's a great way of doing that, and then you put it in and you make something. So I highly recommend bringing in people with a lot of different backgrounds when you're trying to solve a problem.
And there's that kind of flexibility because people tend to think of NASA and all the procedures and the checklists, and of course checklists are regimented, but there's that kind of flexibility to bring in new ideas.
Oh, absolutely.
Wow.
And that, to me, that's one of the most important things especially when you're doing something in space. Yeah, every flight we flew on the space shuttle that we're out here was a completely different mission. I mean, we did a lot of the same type of things, but we had different objectives. We were doing different approaches and arrivals, and everything was different. And that's again where having that flexibility and people with different backgrounds is very, very, very helpful.
How far along when you get somebody in the aircraft for the first time riding with you? How far along are they in their time in the astronaut corps?
Well, we try to get them in fairly. I mean, they've done some initial training and those kind of things, but we within the first year we have them flying. But they got to go through the survival training, and they have seat training, and different types of training they have to get ready to get. And then obviously they're getting started in their astronaut training as well. And then we start integrating the flight training, and so we have a checkout program to get them up to speed before we start flying as astronaut crews. And once they are through that checkout program, then we continue to use it on a daily basis. Every time we get in that airplane, we're thinking about what training are we going to get out of it to make us better, not only aviators but better, ultimately astronauts. And that's really what the T-38 is for us, is a way to get us ready for that space flight.
Talking about training and somebody is just starting, how long does it take to go from being your first day as an astronaut candidate through the point where you've completed that initial training and go on to more advanced?
Usually, the astronaut training course is usually about 2 years long to get that initial training. And it varies based on classes and how the different years, but it's usually about 2 years or so. And then you kind of get ready for you work in the office, and then you're waiting for that day when you get picked to actually go into an assigned flow. But you have other training even after you finish you have advanced robotic skills that you work on. We have advanced EVA, working our spacewalking stuff. We have a neutral buoyancy lab, a big pool that we practice in, get ready for spacewalks. And it kind of depends. Before we had the shuttle simulators that were continually maintaining training and advancing with advanced systems and things. And when our new space vehicles come along, it'll be the same way. We're thinking about that. What the new vehicles are going to be in the next few years. We're going to have crews that are going to have to go train to fly in those vehicles, and so simulators and different training devices to get ready for those flights.
With the different commercial companies that are developing their own capsules and different spacecraft, is NASA? Are they consulting with NASA? Does NASA send people like you and other astronauts out to the industry?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. We're talking to a lot of these different countries. NASA's given seed money to a lot of these different companies. And then those companies come back and ask us questions, and we ask them questions. So it's kind of a big effort to figure out the way into space. And to me, it's a lot like aviation. Aviation started out as kind of a government program, and then commercial companies came in and really got aviation going, and I kind of see spaceflight as the same way. We get started as a government thing, and now commercial companies are going to do it. And the government will continue to be involved, thinking about the future and thinking about going beyond. But to me, it's an exciting time of space travel is right here. I was dreaming about space travel. I think space travel is going to become a lot like flying in an airplane in the future. Not too distant future, people will get on spaceships and not think as much about it, kind of like people get on airplanes right now and don't think a whole lot about all the technology that's involved in getting from point A to point B.
Just remember to fasten their seatbelt.
Exactly.
Tray tables up.
And why am I late? But when you look out the window and you go, every time I get in an airplane, I sit there and go, it's amazing to me that you can get, a thing with wings into the air and that it flies and it turns and does all, the complexity of the air structure, the radios that we have to talk to people, the navigation aids, the global positioning system that have satellites to locate our position on the planet. We have nav aids on the, you start thinking about all those things, figuring out how the weather works, pictures of satellites, to look at the ground, all these things that are totally involved, but they just become kind of mundane, just like computers. It hasn't really been that long that we've had computers, but now just about everyone here probably has a computer on them that they're physically carrying. And when you think about that, you, to a certain extent, kind of take that for granted.
Last question.
Sure.
I'm curious, what are you doing nowadays as an astronaut? What's your job like? What kind of tasks are you looking to do day to day?
Most people are doing things as an astronaut, maintaining their training currency, because we're still flying astronauts in space. We have a launch coming up here in Kazakhstan. We're on a Russian Soyuz, and then we have as one of my jobs, I actually go out and see some of these different commercial companies, and we have forums and we discuss things and look at their progress of what they're designing for new space vehicles. So a lot of practice on robotic arms, for the space station with our crews that are on board. We also have practice in the NBL, Nuclear Buoyancy Lab, where we're doing spacewalking. So a multitude of things that we're doing. And obviously, as an international space station, language is a big part of that as well. You're quite welcome. It's good to meet you.
Hi, Eric. How you doing? What planet is he from? What's his physiology like? And I just thought that was amazing that he had to do that. And now I get to do that, because when you go into space, everything changes. And the human kind of turns into this extraterrestrial, and you have to think totally different. So me and Dr. McCoy were...
So you have gotten to meet him?
I have not gotten to, I did...
he passed away.
He did. He passed away. Yeah. No, DeForest Kelly. I did not get to meet him. I read everything I could about him. If you Google his name and my name, somebody wrote an article comparing us.
Really?
Yeah, his picture and my picture, and I guess we're both kind of curmudgeonly old men. So
I think you're both joined at the hip by now.
A lot of reasons. But yeah, he was my hero.
Thank you very much for being patient with me.
Oh, it's not a problem.
And I think a picture of the two passes.
Sure, absolutely. No, that's all right.
It's still hard. Yeah.
That's great that Tim Cope and you guys work together.
Oh, yeah.
Fantastic. That's what it should be about.
Yeah, we're still very good friends. And you know that Steve was also in our class, with the exception of the commander, Steve Lindsay. All the rest of us were in the same astronaut class of 2000, including Tim, including Steve. So we all knew each other very well.
Definitely a close knit group if you're in the same
Absolutely,
class.
yeah.
Okay. Thank you for your time.
That was a pleasure.
White sands, because they contain hypergolic repellent. There are seals and things in place, but over time they would dry out. We didn't want to take the chance that anything would outgas over time, so those are the big ones that we did for display purposes.
With the crew cabin cross-section figure,
What would you
did you leave the seats in, or?
We didn't leave the seats. We have the pilot seats are still installed. For the most part, the crew cabin is configured like it was for flight. We took some things out to clean them. So, each of the museums has asked us for different configuration. For instance, California Science Center, they get Endeavor, since they're going to have it displayed in launch configuration, vertical configuration. They've asked us to not reinstall the galley, to just ship it separately. They're going to make a display where the public can actually see what the galley looks like. Here in space, has asked for some of the same things. So that people, even though they can't get inside, can look inside and see it. So they want it to look like
So he's saying it.